Okay, this is who they are, guys. They are, Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility was established in 1975 in response to professional misconduct associated with the Watergate scandal. OPR's primary mission is to ensure that department attorneys perform their duties in accordance with the highest professional standards expected of the nation's principal law enforcement agency. OPR is separate from the litigating components of the department. OPR is led by non-bipartisan non-bipartisan career official who is a member of the senior executive service described here and employs a staff of experienced career department attorneys and support professionals dedicated to the highest standards of integrity. OPR primary responsibility is to investigate allegations that department attorneys, prosecutors, and immigration judges have committed misconduct while performing their duties to investigate, litigate, or give legal advice. OPR also investigates certain misconduct allegations involving federal law enforcement agents when they relate to the department attorneys' alleged professional misconduct, as well as claims of reprisal against FBI whistleblowers. In addition, OPR considers allegations of professional misconduct by non-department attorneys and judges for professional referral to state and judiciary disciplinary authorities. Additional information about OPR's role and authority can be found here. So long story short, guys, OPR think of them as internal affairs for the feds. Okay, there's different types of OPR. Remember when I told you guys that I got involved in some bullshit a couple years ago where they made an allegation? I was investigated by Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office of Professional Responsibility. Obviously, I beat it. You know what I'm saying? It was some BS. It was a BS allegation. But this is what happens, guys. If an allegation comes forward, it could completely be false. But if someone makes an allegation against you, they have to investigate it, right? They have to maintain the integrity of the agency. And a lot of the times they're investigating to see if there's anything actually going on. So in this case, there was an allegation that Acosta misuses authority or whatever it is, and OPR opened up an investigation against him. So they have to go ahead and do it. So OPR basically found no misconduct, guys. Yes, he might have made a bad decision, but that does not necessarily rise the level of misconduct. Okay. The finding revealed Thursday also angered Senator Ben Sasse, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Oversight Subcommittee, who said that Americans ought to be enraged by the break Epstein received in 2008 when the feds deferred their much larger case to state prosecutors. Despite a mountain of documented accusation by dozens of young women and girls, Epstein was able to plead guilty that year to a single felony count for solicitation of one underage prostitute. Letting a well-connected billionaire get away with child rape and international sex trafficking isn't poor judgment. It's a disgusting failure, the Nebraska Republican said in a statement. Sass has been critical of the DOJ's handling of the 2008 plea deal and the Bureau of Prisons' failure to keep Epstein alive in 2019 while he was in federal custody in Manhattan. Thursday's meeting only left more questions unanswered, Scarola said. Let's see here. If there's anything else here that's really relevant. Okay. So they did a full investigation. It did acknowledge that the inclusion in the non-prosecution agreement of a provision immunizing named and unknown co-conspirator for unspecified federal crimes was not only unusual but unique, he added. They had not identified a circumstance in which that has been done before. Epstein's alleged top procurer, Ghislaine Maxwell, remains in a federal lockup in Brooklyn pending trial. Jeffrey Epstein should be rotting behind bars today, but the Justice Department failed Epstein's victims at every turn. Sasse said Thursday in complaining on Thursday's findings. The DOJ crooked 2008 deal with Epstein effectively shut down investigations into his child sex trafficking ring and protected his co-conspirators in other states. That's not necessarily true because we know that the FBI in New York ended up taking the case and prosecuting him and actually arresting him. And he would have done a lot of time, which is why, he allegedly killed himself. Let's see here. Okay, I think we got everything here. But that was something that I want to put out to you guys that, yes, they did definitely do an investigation on Alex Acosta, the former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida, and the case ended up getting taken by the Southern District of New York, and they were the ones that got him right here, which is this is the case. So let's, where are we at? So I can minimize this right here. So Here's his conviction. On June 30th, 2008, Epstein pled guilty to the state charge, and he got less than 2 years. Instead of state prison, Epstein was housed in a private wing of Palm Beach County's Stockage, and after 3.5 months, allowed to leave jail on work release for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, the time in which he continued to commit sex crime. This contradicted the county's policies of requiring a max remaining sentence of 10 months and making sex offenders ineligible for this privilege. His cell door was left unlocked and had access to the attorney room where a TV was installed for him. The sheriff's office received $128,000 from Epstein's nonprofit to pay for the cost of extra services being provided during his work release. Holy! July 22nd, 2009, Epstein released for a year of probation on house arrest until August 2010. Allowed numerous trips on corporate jet to his residences in Manhattan and U.S. Virgin Islands. The sweetheart deal and the general leniency on the state's part was heavily criticized by the public at the Palm Beach County police chief. July 6, 2009, Epstein was arrested on sex trafficking charges. So finally, they came after him. So I got y'all, and I have it right here. Enter federal case from New York. So since the Southern District of Florida failed, the Southern District of New York once again comes in to the fucking rescue. Jeffrey Epstein charged in Manhattan federal court with sex trafficking of minors. Alleged conduct occurred in both New York and Florida over multiple years, involving dozens of victims. So, guys, we're at the 3-hour mark now. If you guys want me to add a part 2 to this, give me a 1 in the chat. If you guys want to end it here, right here at the federal side, or if you guys want me to keep going, give me a 2. So 1 if you want me to keep going, 2 if you guys want me to continue do a part 2 on this, because it's gonna we still got a lot to cover, gentlemen and ladies. Because now we're getting into the federal part of the investigation. Don't worry about me, guys. I can keep going. This is really for y'all.
I think it's 2.
2s, huh? Looks like it's a lot of 2s. 2. Some of us just got here. Okay. That's cool. All right. So it looks like I'll end up doing a part 2 for y'all. So, because I remember, guys, 1 is to keep going. 2 is to continue this on a part 2. Still looking. Don't worry about me, guys. I can keep going. Damn, it's like 50-50 here.
I know, I can't tell.
I can't tell.
It might honestly need like a part 2 though.
All right.
It's a lot of 1s now.
Yeah, I think they were putting 2s before because they wanted to make sure that I'm not like getting burnt out. Nah, guys, I can keep going. Let's fucking do it. We don't bend over here. All right, let's keep going. I just want to make sure that you guys aren't tired. And guys, do me a quick favor since we're putting in some overtime here. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here. What we could do is we could cover the Epstein portion, and then I'll cover Ghislaine on the next one. How about that? That'll probably be better for y'all, right? So let's cover our boy Epstein. So just a quick little recap, because we've covered a lot now over this past 3 hours, okay? So, and Aisha helped me with this because this is going to be the recap. So, we figure out that Epstein basically started off as a math teacher, right? Mm-hmm. He ended up getting involved with joining a hold on, let me pull up that fucking outline again. Give me 1 second. Because there's a lot of people that just joined, so I'm going to make sure I have this ready for y'all. Give me 1 second, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so let me move this over here. Okay. Let's pull up this DOJ. Okay. All right. Okay. So, quick little recap right here, right now. Born 1953, he grew up in he was born in Brooklyn, New York. Grew up in New York. 1971, attended Current Institute of Mathematical Sciences at NYU, but he left without completing his degree. 1974, he began working as a physics and math teacher, despite not having the credentials. He started to show inappropriate behavior with the students back then when he was a teacher. He ended up getting dismissed, and he worked for the Dalton School, and he got dismissed from the school for poor performance. June 1976, Greenberg offered Epstein a job at Bear Stearns, and he had met Alan Greenberg, CEO of Bear Stearns, through a student. One of his students' fathers was Alan Greenberg. So he gets the job, works at Bear Stearns, worked as a junior assistant to the floor trader, and then later promoted to an options trader. 1980, he became a Bear Stearns limited partner. 1981, got dismissed for being guilty of a Regulation D violation by the SEC. He retained a relationship with Greenberg and Jimmy Kane, the new Seagram CEO, whose accounts Epstein also managed. August 1981, founded his own consulting firm, Intercontinental Assets Group, Inc., assisting clients in recovering stolen money from fraudulent brokers and lawyers. Then in mid-1980s, Epstein became acquainted with Stephen Hoffberg. 1987, he hires Epstein as a consultant for Two Towers Financial Group. 1993, Towers Financial Group closes after being revealed as one of the biggest Ponzi schemes. 1989, Epstein left the company and was not charged with any involvement. I think that was 1983. Okay, let's keep going. So in 1991, Epstein gets power over billionaire Lexi Wexner's affairs. He becomes the director of Wexner's Foundation. 1995, he moves into Lex Wexner's mansion in New York. At this point, he's making like $70 million a year. He's managing a bunch of accounts of rich people. And then into the early 2000s, he starts getting involved with, doing this stupid. He's basically right around 2005, the police start investigating him in West Palm Beach for him soliciting minors. The investigation continues. He ends up getting only a single charge, or basically he only gets charged with procuring underage prostitution. Ends up getting a slap on the wrist, almost no jail time, less than 2 years. The feds try to do the case, but Alex Acosta, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida at the time, allows the state to take the case, and the feds choose to not prosecute. So the FBI in West Palm Beach ended up not prosecuting the case as they had intended. And as you guys saw, Palm Beach had led that investigation through the probable cause affidavit that we wrote. So fast forward all the way to 2019, and the Southern District of New York finally goes and arrests this guy. And here we are, July 18th, 2019, this press release. Jeff Epstein charged in Manhattan federal court with sex trafficking of minors in the Southern District of New York. I told you guys already about the reputation of the Southern District of New York. Extremely aggressive district. They've arrested some of the biggest names in the mafia, gang cases, etc. They're the ones that arrested Casanova, 6ix9ine, mafia bosses, etc. The Southern District of New York is probably one of the strongest and best U.S. districts in the United States when it comes to doing big cases. So, okay, alleged conduct occurred in both New York and Florida over multiple years, including dozens of victims. Jeffrey S. Berman, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, William F. Sweeney, the Assistant Director in charge of the New York Field Office of the FBI, and James P. O'Neill, Commissioner of the New York City Police Department and NYPD, announced that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested Saturday and charged with sex trafficking of minors and a conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of minors. The indictment unsealed today alleges that between 2002 through 2005, Epstein sexually exploited and abused dozens of underage girls by enticing them to engage in sex acts with him in exchange for money, as we had talked to you guys, as you guys read before in the West Palm Beach case. Epstein allegedly worked with several employees and associates to ensure that he had a steady supply of minor victims to abuse and paid several of those victims themselves to recruit other underage girls to engage in similar sex acts for money. He committed these offenses in locations including New York, and Palm Beach, Florida. Epstein is expected to be presented in Manhattan federal court this afternoon before U.S. Magistrate Judge Henry B. Pittman. The case is assigned to U.S. District Judge Richard M. Berman. And just so you guys know, when you've been indicted, the case automatically goes to a U.S. district judge. The reason why he's going in front of a U.S. magistrate judge is anytime you're arrested, you have to be presented for your initial appearance in front of a judge, and magistrate judges cover all initial appearances. U.S. Attorney Jeffrey S. Berman said, and alleged Jeffrey Epstein abused underage girls for years, operating a scheme in which girls he victimized would recruit others for Epstein to exploit and abuse. Now, I know some of you guys are wondering, well, hold on, Myron, stop 1 second. Didn't the feds say that they weren't going to prosecute him? Yes. The Southern District of Florida said that they're not going to prosecute him, but that does not mean that the Southern District of New York can't. So since he had a residence in New York and he was using he was living in New York as well, and he was committing these crimes, because remember, guys, if he made a phone call and organized some kind of, a situation or a meetup with a girl while he was in New York, which he was doing, now Southern District of New York has venue, aka they got him. So that is how the Southern District of New York was able to gain venue on this case and come back and indict him, 10 years later, 10 plus years later. All right? That's how the feds work, baby. Use a phone, etc., and you affect interstate commerce, now they can go after you. Okay. Abuse underage girls for years, operating a scheme in which girls he victimized would recruit others. Okay. Recruit others for Epstein to exploit and abuse. Epstein exploited girls who were vulnerable to abuse, enticed them with cash payments, and escalated his conduct to include sex acts, often occurring at his residence on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. While the charged conduct is from a number of years ago, the victims, then children and now young women, are no less entitled to their day in court. My office is proud to stand up for these victims by bringing this indictment. FBI Assistant Director William F. Sweeney Jr. said, "We are asking anyone who may have been victimized by Jeffrey Epstein or anyone who may have information about his alleged criminal behavior to please call us. The number is 1-800-CALL-FBI, which you guys saw in that picture I showed you. We want to hear from you regardless of the age you are now or whatever age you were then, no matter where the incident took place. The bravery it takes to call us might empower others to speak out about the crimes committed against them." So the FBI ain't fucking around, guys. They're willing to update the indictment and add other victims to it. So they're going after him. It is important to remember there was never nor will there ever be an excuse for this type of behavior. In the eyes of the FBI, the victims will always come first. NYPD Commissioner James P. O'Neill said, "Today's charges serve as a warning to individuals who continue to prey upon some of our society's most vulnerable population. We are coming for you. I thank and commend the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District and the FBI for their tireless efforts to ensure child predators are taken off the streets. The NYPD will continue to work with our law enforcement partners to eradicate the trafficking of children in our city and nation and work to bring justice to victims of these heinous crimes." And this is very similar to what happened in the R. Kelly case, guys, as well, because actually the old agency I used to work for, Homeland Security Investigations, did the case against R. Kelly. FBI did this one, and HSI did the one against R. Kelly. From at least 2002, and according to the indictment unsealed Manhattan court. So this is the indictment right here. This is some of the facts from the indictment, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull up the indictment for you. So Epstein, 66, is charged with one count of sex trafficking of minors, which carries a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison, and one count of conspiracy to engage in sex trafficking of minors, which carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison. The statutory maximum and mandatory penalties are prescribed by Congress and are provided here for the informational purposes only, as any sentencing of the defendant will be determined by the judge. Mr. Berman praised the outstanding investigative work of the FBI and NYPD. He also thanked the U.S. Customs Border Protection for their assistance. This case is being handled by the Office of Public Corruption Unit. Assistant United States U.S. Attorneys Alex Rosmiller, Allison Moe, and Maureen Comey are in charge of the prosecution, with assistance from the office's human trafficking co-coordinator, Abigail Kurland. So they got 4 AUSAs on this case. They're not fucking around. The charges contained in this indictment are merely accusations. The defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty.